Okay, continue where we left off yesterday about the concept of baltashchis, of not wasting anything. In other words, not only you're not allowed to damage yourself, you're not allowed to damage your property, wasting things, breaking things, and so on. Now there's a very interesting din, which the Gemara talks, it's a pasuk. We're talking about the source of baltashchis basically is what Torah is speaking about a fruit tree. Torah says when you go to war and you see a fruit tree, you're not allowed to destroy a fruit tree because you eat from it, and therefore you shouldn't cut it down. So there's a biblical prohibition of cutting down a fruit tree. Not only that, but the Gemara says in even more in it that it's actually sakana. It's a dangerous thing to chop down a fruit tree. So somebody has a fruit tree in their backyard or whatever, and they want to chop it down, there's a lot of dinim involved. Number one, you're not allowed to do it, unless certain conditions are met. For instance, if the tree is not producing a normal amount of fruit that a tree produces, it's not a healthy tree, so then you're allowed to cut it down because it's not really a proper fruit tree. Secondly, if it's darkening your windows, let's say it's darkening your house, the tree is blocking the sunlight from coming in, then you're also allowed to take it, cut it down. Or let's say you need a place to build. Let's say you want to add on a room or build a guest house or a pool for that matter, and there's a fruit tree in the way, and if you don't take down the fruit tree, then you're not allowed, you won't be able to build the guest house or whatever. So then the din is you're allowed to cut it down. Now there are Rishonim and Achreinim that say even though you're allowed to do it, it's still sakana. It's still dangerous to do it, whatever that sakana means. It's unclear in halacha when it says sakana, like Rabbi Yosef says taking haircuts and Rosh Chodesh is sakana. I mean, there's a lot of sakana. We don't know exactly what sakana we're talking about. Huh? One second. But the Alter Rebbe clearly says in Shulchan Aruch that the only time it's sakana is if you're not cutting it down when in the ways that it's permissible to cut. In other words, the Alter Rebbe said, the Alter Rebbe is not the only one. Another Achrein writes too, but the Alter Rebbe writes clearly that even though it's sakana to cut down the tree, he says unless if you're cutting it down the right way that halacha says, because if halacha says you could do it, then why is it sakana? Then obviously it's not an issue. So now the question is, so what do you do? So there's a few eitzes people give anyway. For instance, some people say, and according to Alter Rebbe you don't have to do it, but some people say if you want to cut down a fruit tree, even though you're allowed to, but they'll say like this, you do one of two things. Either sell it to the guy chopping down the tree. Now if he gives you $1, you give it to him beforehand, the gift. Gives you $1, he buys the tree. Now it's not your tree that you're chopping down. A guy is chopping down the tree. A guy is allowed to chop down the tree. It's not one of the Sheva mitzvahs b'nei noyach that a guy would be obligated in. That's one way of doing it. Or another thing, other poskim write, if you uproot the whole tree together with the earth around it and you replant it, then you're not called cutting down a fruit tree. Like by Arlo, we know the first 3 years of a fruit tree, you're not allowed to have benefit from the fruits. It's called the Arla, right? So what happens if I uproot a tree without the dirt, just the tree itself? The tree is 10 years old, okay? And I uproot just the tree, and I replant the tree, Arla starts all over again. Another 3 years, you can't eat the fruit. But if I replant it with the dirt around it, then it's one continuation. Then you don't start Arla again. So if people want to replant or take trees, let's say you take a tree from a nursery, you buy a tree, let's say, whatever, type of tree from a nursery. So the best way of bringing it is you take it with the earth. You make sure that not the tree itself, you get the earth, but that's a separate din of Arla. So many poskim write that if you uproot the tree, and then you're not destroying the tree, you're planting it somewhere else, so then it's not a problem of cutting down the fruit tree.
How about you it not to be shinoi, like we do in Chabad, like putting poison in it or fool it by some ways and then it comes out. Not cutting it.
It's still, especially if it's sakana. By the way, shinoi doesn't mean doing it differently than always doesn't make it allowed. It makes it rabbinic instead of biblical. It's still forbidden. You can't turn on a light. I need a light. I'm going to turn on the light with a shinoi. I'll do it with my elbow. So then I could watch television. I mentioned many times there was a family in the shul. They were becoming religious. And it was a 6-year-old kid. And he was into watching television. All of a sudden his mother says to him, you can't watch television because we can't turn on the switch. So the kid was a smart little kid. He had a dog. And he put a dog bone on the switch. And when the dog took the dog bone, he opened the switch. So the television went on. That's what the kid did. Anyway, but again, as far as chopping down a fruit tree, according to the Alter Rebbe, clearly, if it's something that you are allowed to do it, so then it's not sakon in any way whatsoever. So you'd be allowed to do it. What?
If for some reason it's not possible, you have to move the tree, but it's not possible to take it by definition with the dirt. Are you able to take it with its roots and everything and then take the dirt separately?
Yeah, as long as you replant it with it doesn't have to be, as long as you're replanting it with that original dirt, I don't have to take it. You can take it separately and then put it into the ground. So then that's the way of chopping down the tree. What? Okay, in Eretz Yisrael, if you ever look at the fruits and vegetables, it's interesting. In America, fruits and vegetables are the least of the problems. In Eretz Yisrael, it's the main problem over there, fruits and vegetables. So when you look at like bottles of wine, it says Shashmi, Tevel, Arla, Neter, Ravai. Now, we're going off topic, but anyway, Arla in Eretz Yisrael is biblical. Whether it applies today is a different story. But outside of Eretz Yisrael, it's rabbinic. Outside of Eretz Yisrael, it's halacha Moshe Sinai, or the way that Chacham established the takana, was that Safek Arla is permissible. Unless if you know for sure it's Arla, which by the way doesn't apply to vegetables. Talking about fruit trees, right? So the question, like in Eretz Yisrael, you just can't walk into a fruit store that's not under hashgacha and buy an apple. Well, I don't know if it's Arla or not. In Eretz Yisrael, it originated as a biblical, so Safek Arla in Eretz Yisrael is forbidden. Safek Arla in Chutz La'aretz, today you're allowed to go into Ralph's or fruit store, whatever. You buy an apple, you don't have to check out when was it, because Safek Arla, that's the way the halacha was established, Safek Arla in Chutz La'aretz is allowed. Because it's not really awesome in Torah anyway. So 1 second. So in Eretz Yisrael, Neter Ravai in the time of the Bais Hamikdash, like Ma'aser Sheni, it was yours, you had to take it to the Bais Hamikdash, and to Yerushalayim, and eat it in Yerushalayim. It wasn't a carbon. You brought it yourself to Yerushalayim, you ate it. If it was too much, you redeemed it for money, took the money to Yerushalayim, and then you bought food with it. Yeah? Same thing with Neter Ravai. But because Arla in Chutz La'aretz doesn't apply, so in Israel, the fruits of the 4th year, they also don't eat. Because of Neter Ravai, not because of Arla. But in Chutz La'aretz, the whole din of Arlo is not symbolic, as for sure. But so in Chutz La'aretz, unless you know for sure it's Arlo, it's not. Huh? If what?
There's a tree in your backyard and you know it's Arlo.
Yeah, but it's not from the time it starts giving out fruit. It's from the time it was planted.
But it's in your backyard. The 4th year you still eat it.
What? The 4th year you can eat, yeah. Okay, anyway, let's get back here. Back to destruction. Okay, that's that with fruit trees. Okay, next din is also very important din for people that own animals. It's a very, very big problem, by the way, today, because according to law, you get a dog or a cat, you have to neuter it, which basically you sterilize it. What? Yeah, I think according to law you have to. Oh, for breeding, yeah, but I'm saying if you could buy a dog and not neuter it? I think, I don't know, maybe. I'm not arguing the fact. But the bottom line is, there's an Isser Sirus, sterilization. So a man is not allowed to sterilize himself, a woman is not allowed to be sterilized. Animals are not allowed to be sterilized. It's biblically forbidden to sterilize an animal. Not only that, you can't even have a guy do it for you. So you can't say to a guy, here, neuter my animal for me, because he's doing it as your shliach. And by all is not only by Shabbos, by all isurim of a Torah, even though normally there's no din of a shliach by a guy, but yesh shlichus la'akum l'chumra, for stricter purposes, what you're not allowed to do, you're not allowed to tell a guy to do. What?
So, when you get a dog, for example, from a shelter, it's not law that they make you do it. The shelter won't give you the dog unless you have it done. So you're actually saving the dog's life by having it done. Yeah, but
it's not the only way you could save the dog's life. So, I'm saying, so a Jew is not, so what do? What happens if a Jew wants to get a dog from a shelter, let's say, or from a private person who's a guy? Because a guy can't do it either, by the way. So what they do is, they don't say, do it for me. They say, I can't buy a dog which is not neutered. So you're not buying it yet. The guy is doing it on his own. Then you buy the dog. But you can't buy the dog and say, okay, do it for me, because then he's a shliach to do it. And you can't do it even to a dog you don't own. It's forbidden to neuter animals, period. Or spayed, whatever. So that's a very big problem in the animal world. You know, when they always say, make sure your dog is neutered and spayed or whatever they call those things. So,
the reason why a boy can't do it is because of cruel or you?
huh?
The reason why a boy can't do it is because of cruel or you?
No. Even a guy, I believe, 1 second, even a guy, yeah, you can do it.
Is there a negative
Because no, it says clearly, a guy is also mechuyev. It's an offshoot of Shav Mitzvahs B'nai Neach, that a guy is also commanded not to sterilize animals. It's part of the Gilei Arayis.
If you own one that is, it's a bad thing to have a dog as
No, unless if he bites or barks a lot and disturbs people, then the Gemara calls it Asr L'Adam L'Gadol Kelev Rabbatech Beisei. So then also, you're not allowed to have a wild dog, a bad dog. Bad dog means it barks, all those different types of things. What? What?
What happens when you buy a puppy?
What do you mean, what happens when you buy a puppy?
Most dogs are bought when they're a puppy.
Okay, so if they're a puppy and you can't neuter them yet, when they get older, you can't neuter them. So you have a problem. That's what I'm saying. You have a problem. Then you have another issue. If a Jew asks a guy to do it, so then not only is he a shliach, but a Jew is not allowed to see that. Just like a Jew is not allowed to, a Jew is not allowed to help another Jew do a sin. So in those things that a guy is obligated in, a Jew cannot tell a guy to do it. Cannot help a guy to do an aveda they're not allowed to do. A Jew cannot help a guy steal. A Jew cannot help a guy the 7 mitzvahs, eat a live limb off an animal, whatever. So all those things, a Jew is able to fnei even.
Is it also like when you're not to ask
But, 1 second. But if the guy doesn't buy it from the agent, there's another agent in the middle, so it's a double if neiva, then you're allowed to. But you can't tell him to do it because then they're your shliach. What?
Can you tell him to tell the other guy to do it?
You can buy a female dog and then you don't have a dog.
You know why people like dogs? Better than kids, they don't talk back. They bark back, but they don't talk back.
What about the dividend of the human beings?
What?
The dividend of human beings. Doesn't a Jewish doctor who can do utilization on a woman, like tubal ligation or vasectomy on a man?
Okay, it's too late to get into that now, but to Mitzvah Shem, tomorrow we can talk about it if you remind me. I'll probably forget by then. Can a doctor do sterilization of women or sterilization of men? Is he allowed to do it? To answer you with one word, no. But again, what happens though if a woman is allowed to tie her tubes? The halacha permits, not cutting the tubes, tying the tubes. Which is different, because one's reversible technically, one's not reversible. If it's not reversible, it's mamish sirus, which you're not allowed to do. So then the question is, can a doctor, even for a guy we said it's forbidden, so can a doctor do it? So it's a very famous question that the answer is really no. Are there ways of getting around it? Maybe. But yeah, these things, let me ask you a question. Can a lawyer, I didn't say a liar, I said a lawyer. Can a lawyer represent a Jew in court against another Jew? Now, a Jew is not allowed to take a Jew to court, unless it's to get a heter from a Bais Din. So now you have a lawyer. Can a lawyer represent a Jew against a Jew in court? The answer is, everybody does it. That doesn't mean you're allowed to. I'm just saying that there's a lot of frum lawyers that do these things. So there's a lot of, remember tomorrow,